Hello, my friends. I hope you're having an outstanding, fabulous day. It is Real Estate Tuesday. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being my friends. Thank you all for being my subscribers. Thank you all for tolerating my humor. Thank you all for tolerating me. And if you haven't, please smash the subscribe, click on the like, click on the bell, share my videos, tell your friends. I hope you enjoy these tips. If you think these tips are useful, please share. I'm trying to break 1,000 subscribers. Although at one point I was not praying, because I wouldn't pray over this. I pray over important stuff. I pray over people. Hoping to break 10 subscribers. And now, about 9 months later, I'm hoping to break 1,000. So anyway, thank you all. I appreciate it. And you know what to do. I told you. That. Smash. Today, we're going to talk about appraisals. What is an appraisal? And I'm just going to give you a thumbnail because people are like, oh, I got an appraisal. I looked on Zillow. Zillow's not an appraisal. Zillow is the estimate. Zillow sometimes is close, sometimes not. Zillow just pulls information off the computer. And the information on the computer a lot of times is human data. So I always tell people, human data, garbage in, garbage out. So you can't rely on any of those estimates. The only way that you can get a true blue accurate idea of value for a property is a good appraiser or a good real estate agent. And when it comes to value for selling a property, a lot of times you'll get a better value, a more accurate value with a great realtor, and I'll tell you why as we get to the end. So an appraisal, what's an appraisal? An appraisal is an evaluation, approximation of value of a particular property done by a licensed individual. This is typically how they work. So they kind of work from the property out. I just like to say a radius. They'll continue to work out from the property looking for homes that are similar style homes. That's what they're trying to find. And they're looking for homes that have sold within the past 6 months, but they're allowed to go to 12 months. And they're looking for at least 3 or more. So 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, but at least 3. And like I said, the goal is 6 months because that's a closer approximation to time, but they will go to 12. There's set standards that they have to follow, and some lenders have individual particular standards that they will also make the appraiser use. But in general, they have standard criteria, standard values. And just as an example, they'll typically give like a bedroom, $5,000 value. A bathroom, $5,000 value. And this is how they make adjustments. So if they have a similar style home, and one house has 4 bedrooms and the other house has 3 bedrooms, they will take or add $5,000 for the bedroom. So depending how they're doing the math, they throw it all in a pot, stir it up after they crunch the values, and they come up with the bottom line. Square footage, they typically give about $35 for above grade square footage. So if they're comparing houses and there's a difference in square footage, and one house is 100 square feet bigger than the other, above grade, 100 times 35, that's the value that they use to add or subtract from their calculations. If it's below grade footage, unfinished, below grade, it's typically about $15. This used to be like a 30 and a 10, but they've gone up some. So $15. So if the homes that they're comparing has a 100 unfinished square foot difference for the basement, it'll be 100 times 15, and then the add or subtract depending on where the calculation needs to be for the property. And then if it's finished basement space, it'll be like $20. So the below grade space is never valued as much as the above grade. And in a garage, if a house has a garage and another house doesn't, it'll be like a $10,000, for like a 2-car garage, it'll be like a $10,000 calculation, plus or minus. So this is a very simplistic explanation, but this is kind of how it works. Like a fireplace will be worth like $2,500. A wood deck could be worth $5,000 or $10,000 depending on the size. The size of the lot, they all have values that the appraiser will use, and they're all pretty similar values. There's not really much fluctuation in the value from appraiser to appraiser because they have standard forms and standard protocols that they have to use. And they do the pluses and minuses, stir up the pot, and then at the bottom they'll have approximation of value. So like outbuildings and pools, there's a lot of play depending on what value an appraiser is going to give in that, because if it's a vinyl pool, it will not get as much value as a concrete pool or a fiberglass pool. I've seen appraisers give detached garages that are freaking nice that probably cost $100,000 to build. I've seen appraisers only give them like $15,000 of value, and I always say that's freaking crazy because you couldn't even build a shed for that now. So that is why appraisal value is not necessarily real estate sales value, because appraisers have fixed numbers that they give for things. But if somebody has a killer pool, a buyer is going to pay a premium. A buyer who wants a pool is going to pay a premium for a killer pool. So even if the appraiser only gives it, say, $10,000 or $15,000 of value to a buyer, it may be worth $25,000, $30,000 in value to pay a premium for the property to get that pool, because that pool might cost $100,000 to build, and it's easier to pay $30,000 more for a house to get that pool than it is to build that pool. Same thing with an outbuilding. If there's a garage with a room above it and heat and air, the appraiser might only give it, say, $15,000 of value, but the person looking at the property would be like, hell, that's going to be $150,000 to build. I'm going to give an extra $50,000 for that property so that I can get that building. And that is why real estate value is normally a little bit higher than appraisal value. Now, it could be a lot higher if there's some kind of unicorn feature. It could be just a little bit higher if, let's say, the house backs the woods, like my house backs the woods. The appraiser probably will give no value to that, but a buyer will, because a buyer won't have any neighbors, and a buyer will have woods, buffer to play in, to walk through, and so backing the woods could easily add $5,000 to $10,000 of value for a sale that an appraiser won't give. Now you say to yourself, but it's got to appraise. Yes, it does have to appraise, which is one reason why a great realtor will meet the appraiser at the house and pick the best comps, the best comparable sold properties to try to make and reach that sales price. And the appraiser has the ability, I call it like the fluff factor. The appraiser will have the ability to give extra money to certain features because they're better than other features of sold properties. So maybe it'll get extra money for the killer pool or a killer kitchen or some kind of killer update. So there is some flexibility for an appraiser to make adjustments for the unicorn factor, but it'll never be close to the value of what that unicorn really cost. And so when people say to me, I want to get an idea of what the value is to my house, I'm going to get an appraiser, pay an appraiser. And I say to them, don't do that. I'll come out and do it, and I'll give you a ballpark of real life sales value. And the only time I typically tell people to get an appraisal is if there's a bunch of people involved and they're all fighting and they all can't agree and they can't agree on a realtor to use, and I say, just get an appraisal. But typically the appraisal is always lower than what real life value will be. In 22 years, I really have never understood with 100% certainty why that is, other than what I've told you, is that they just don't give real life values to what stuff real life cost. Here's another perfect example of that. One of my clients put in beautiful hardwood floors. I mean, killer, gorgeous hardwood floors, like $20,000 in hardwood floors. And I was like, you ain't getting no money for that. You might get the fluff value. They might give you a little bit bonus, an extra bonus, $2,000 or $3,000 on a killer kitchen for something like that. But you're never ever going to get, you're never ever going to see an appraisal plus 5,000 hardwood floors or 20,000 hardwood floors. You might see if you have hardwood floors and somebody else has carpet, you might see hardwood floors 1,500. You will never see anywhere near the value of those killer, gorgeous hardwood floors, which is why I tell people, if you're doing it to sell the house, don't do it. If you're doing it to increase the value, don't do it. If you're doing it for yourself because that's what you want, then do it. It's kind of like a composite deck. When I rebuilt my deck, I used wood. Why? I'll recoup almost 100% of that cost of rebuilding that deck on sale. I'll get that back from an appraiser in value when they do this. If that was a composite deck, it would be about 30. It would be about, let's see, what did he tell me? It'd be about 30 grand. The appraiser would only give me about 15,000, and the only reason why I would get 15,000 is because it's so big. It's like 700 and some square feet. If it was a smaller deck, it wouldn't be that much. So it's all about the materials and size and best bang for the buck when it comes to doing certain things. My neighbor's gonna get a deck, and I said, are you gonna be here forever? And he said no, and I was like, are you doing it for yourself or for resale? And he goes, well, I'd like to do best bang for the buck. I'm like, get wood. You'll get your best bang for the buck for wood. Just because that's how appraisals work too. And unless you had a 3-season room or a 4-season room on it, buyers aren't going to care as much. Like, you're never going to get from a buyer $30,000 an extra in price. So it's all just a matter of knowledge and experience as to what brings what and what is best for recouping money and making money. That's why I tell people before they do stuff, ask me and I'll give you free advice as to what you should do and the materials to use to basically get your best bang for the buck. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That's about appraisals. If you have any questions, please, you can email me, you can call me, you can text me, you can message me. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you very much for being my friends. Thank you for being my subscribers. Boom, smash that subscribe, click on the like, click on the bell, share. I love you all. See ya.